Good evening, everyone. It's Mary Ann from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. A couple of times in the last year, we have debunked a retiree chapter out of West Florida, Tampa, Lynne Winderbaum. And this is just another one of those. Seems as if Miss Winderbaum doesn't really understand the English language. And as a woman who's clearly well educated, this is really surprising. So this email tonight says that she believes that the work of our organization has horribly damaged the unions. No, Lynn, what the unions have done was damaged labor themselves. You see, being in the labor movement most of our lives, we can tell you that what Michael Mulgrew is doing is not accurate, it's not ethical, and it's not moral. He actually put the entire city union movement in jeopardy. And how did he do that? By negotiating his 2014 contract, the one you probably proffered from, on the backs of other labor organizations and the retirees. No other union, to my knowledge, had ever done that before, where in their own contract, their value, their income, their prospective raises, percentages, was partially subsidized on the backs of other people and not the own productivity of your union. How could Mr. Mulgrew secure wages for the teachers that was predicated upon the MLC agreeing to give $1 billion from the Health Insurance Stabilization Fund and recurring healthcare savings without delineating how that would actually happen? We're going to start getting into the healthcare savings because this is a theme, Ms. Winderbaum, from all of your emails and your newsletters. You wrote, by having no council member go on the record, the members avoided a controversial vote and the code remains unchanged, is your reference to 12-126, which in your email you call 125-12, which is still inaccurate. And after 2 years, you should know exactly what the law is, what it says, and what it does. But being that you still don't know the numbers, I'm still going to take the position that you don't know what it does, which is why you're not respecting it. Where does that leave us? The unions were advocating for a change that would codify their ability to negotiate additional pay-up plans, such as senior care, to the single mandated premium-free plan that the courts have ruled need only be the one offered. Will senior care continue to be available stripped of the ability to charge a premium or a copay? Will there be any supplemental city-funded option to the MA plan? We shall see. But the unions believe they now have no guaranteed flexibility to negotiate the terms of such plans without the amendment of the code. Girlfriend, in this paragraph, you are advocating that you want your union to have the right to charge a premium for plans that we have had at for no cost for 55 years. You are arguing that your union should have the right to charge you, a union member. You almost sound like management. Well, wait a minute, you do sound like management. What's wrong with you? We don't advocate for ourselves to pay. And we don't argue you should change a code that's been in place for 55 years that treated us all equitably. And see, and this is where your history, knowledge should come into play. You see, Medicare became available in 1966. And the reason why Medicare was so popular at the time was because in the 60s, there was a lot of discrimination. Women, people of color didn't have access to health care. Lyndon Johnson and Martin Luther King did speeches about having equitable care and access. And that's why the code reads the way it does. I made a post on our organization's website of speeches about Martin Luther King on Medicare. You see, the purpose was to make sure that every employee, retiree, and their dependent had equitable access to health care. And some of the language in 12-126 mirrors what they did surrounding Medicare. It was supposed to be equitable access. Because if hospitals and doctors wanted access to federal funding, they couldn't discriminate someone and turn them away in healthcare based on race. It was supposed to be fair and equitable. Not creating classes of haves and have-nots. And clearly, Ms. Winderbaum, we have already identified you having a pension of over $70,000. So for you, you have a choice to pay up. But for those of us who don't make $77,000 pensions, choice is not a choice if you have to pay for it and can't afford to do so. This is how you've all been blinded by a message by your union leader who misused a fund with the blessing of the mayor's office whose management's goal was to decimate the stabilization fund and pass premium on to employees and retirees. And whether Michael did that in collusion with the city or he was manipulated and taken advantage of, only Michael knows. So what is it going to be? Are you labor or retired labor? And you are advocating for equitable treatment, equitable access across the board. And that we earned and paid for, we are entitled to in our retirement, Lynne? Or are you just like Randy and Michael, and you're okay with this elitism that those that'll pay can pay and screw the rest of everybody else that can't? Because people who have retired 20, 30, 40 years ago didn't plan on having to pay for their health care in times with their 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, infirm or on fixed small pensions. They have made certain life decisions at this point based upon knowing what their lifetime income would be, and not have some elitist teacher with a high pension say that they want to have choice. So you change the code so you're okay with paying $200 per person per month for a plan that pays less than 20%. And in your latest email, trying to insist that the judge only said that they had to have one plan, which again, let's go back to the English language. In the dicta of the decision, the judge did say, this isn't to say that there has to be a choice of plans, but if there is, and they're under the cap, the city must pay. The reason why he couldn't say that this wasn't to say that he was saying that is because that question wasn't before him, and it was inappropriate for him to answer. I know you didn't sleep in a Holiday Inn last night, so you didn't wake up an attorney today. I get it. But you're misusing the judge's decision and using it as a weapon to say the judge only said. Even Henry Garrido said it before the city council. Go back and read the judge's decision. No, that's not what it says. And that part in which he was getting to his order is called dicta. Dicta is not legally binding. The judge didn't say the city only had to provide one free plan. And based on past practice, my dear, we all know what the city did. That's a shame that that's the position you're taking, because this is very much propaganda, disinformation campaign. Disappointed in you, because that's not what happened. And all of this goes back to the 2014 agreement. But that's okay. We all see you misrepresenting the truth. This seems to be now a uniformed standard of the UFT. You see, because real labor would say, no, city, we're not paying premium. Don't take away what we've earned. But you're not saying that. And some of your retirees or actually active teachers are painting our organization to be anti-union, or me anti-union. Some knucklehead with purple hair even said that I was funded by the Koch brothers. Psst, one of them is deceased, and we're not funded by Koch brothers. We're actually funded by retirees who are very angry that you and all of your peers tried to take away our health care. You are a retiree, Lynn, and you should know better. Go back and read the decision word by word, and then let's read it together. Call me. I'll help you with the legal understanding. And if you recall, in the appellate court, the judge even turned to my attorney and said, well, why don't you just have one plan? And my attorney said, sorry, Your Honor, but that question is not before you. And the judge said, you're right, you're right. Because Jake was absolutely correct on that decision, on that response. It's okay. You keep down this path. You're creating what we got ourselves out of from the 60s. You want to go back in time? Know your history. Understand why we have what we have. It's very valuable to people. We have a lot of retirees that don't make $20,000 pensions. If you look on our videos, Miss Sally makes $882 a month. We have retirees that make $600 a month. Even with their Social Security, they don't bring in $2,000 a month. And for them, they can't afford $200 a month per person for a plan that pays less than 20%. And you want to talk about not wanting to pay premiums or not want to negotiate healthcare? You should speak to Mr. Mulgrew, because it is him who negotiated away retiree health benefits. In your own union meeting, I have a 55-second clip on our YouTube channel where he says, the city says, if you give us back that 20% plan for those retirees, that $600 million we would have spent on them, we'll put in your welfare fund. And Mr. Mulgrew goes on to say, and why would the city want to do that? So they know their costs. So now he's concerned with the city costs, but he's not concerned about a retiree health benefit that they earned and paid for. Go back and read. Learn your own history. You want to pay for your healthcare benefits, you call Robert Lynn and you tell him you're willing to pay for yours, but don't include me in your mess or the rest of our retirees. Have a good day, Lynn. And just, I would ask you the same question I asked Henry, Anthony, and Michael. Which side of history do you want to be on? It's a good question.